The clue is always in the gaze. I am Deidré Wallace, a relationship and corporate therapist. Please see my introductory video that explains the weekly or some bi-weekly video therapy that I am offering. Point 1. The clue is always in the gaze. But what does this actually mean? I will explain this concept so that you can understand the various aspects via my 30+ videos in the series, so that you can understand just how important the gaze and what I am referring to actually is during our emotional development. You see, often people think that because they didn't experience serious trauma in childhood, that they were left emotionally unscathed and therefore can escape doing any self-development work. But hang on, there is something that happens to all of us, every single one of us, very early on, that becomes the bedrock of our emotions and the choices we go on to make. Simply put, this is how it all begins. When a baby is born, and when you see a mother holding her baby, you don't see her looking around unless she has to. What you do see is a mother looking or gazing down at her baby, connecting with her baby via her eye contact. In turn, newborns will, after the first few months, 3 to 4 months to be precise, begin to distinguish and remember a mother's face as they turn and gaze attentively back at their mother. They will look and stare curiously at their mother's face, her laughter, her expressions, her joy, sometimes for very long periods at a time. And with frequent communication and close interaction, the bond outside the womb will deepen. However, the mother and child gaze cannot go on forever. At some point, she will have to put her baby down. And how the baby then manages the loss of the mother or the mother's gaze, even if it's just for a very short period, becomes important. Why? Once we are born, and up to around 9 months after the birth, the baby slowly begins to figure out that it is now separate and outside of its mother. And like the baby, we all then begin to realize that we could never return to the womb. In other words, we realize that we will never have mummy completely to ourselves 24/7 ever again. This is because our mothers may feed, hold, cuddle, and carry us, but at some point she will have to put us down so she can brush her teeth, shower, get dressed, and she may even have other children and indeed her partner to look after too. Then if we get hungry, and to get her attention, we may have to cry as long as it takes for her to pick us up again so she can feed, cuddle, change our nappies. In other words, during the gaps, whilst mummy gets on with other things, we begin to realize that she cannot be there for us. 1 minute we can be held close to mummy, but then mummy may have to put us down. And then we get left to cope on our own. Now, if a baby is abandoned entirely, the baby may cry and cry and cry and keep on crying. It may even start going blue in the face as it begins to panic. It may stop crying due to utter exhaustion and dread, because if mummy doesn't return, it may begin to fear that their source of food may have also disappeared. This is because a baby or child is extremely vulnerable and reliant on their mother for food. But if she's no longer there, this can cause stress and anxiety as the child instinctively worries whether it will ever be fed again, because the inevitability of this reality could be death. So, let's recap. When a baby loses the mother's gaze, or her eye contact, or even her physical presence, a baby then has to learn to cope on its own, even if it's just for a few moments. And this learning that intimacy can imply abandonment, and how we deal or adapt with this reality becomes our emotional bedrock. In other words, imagine being that baby, completely reliant on someone for your survival, and then in the blink of an eye, they are gone. The panic, the confusion, that feeling that can stay with us, and does, for life, even if we don't remember exactly when it started. So even if you cannot remember what happened to you or how you learned to cope, you may still have the feeling of dread or emptiness, anger or fear when you get left and when you don't get what you want. So how do you cope? And what are the results? I would therefore encourage you to start a journal. So as I explain all the various steps of our development, you can jot down how you think or feel my knowledge is helping you understand yourself better. I will be posting weekly on Tuesdays and sometimes on Thursdays as well. And I will be posting at least a further 30 or so videos explaining how we develop in childhood. In the second series, I will explain how we take this learning into our adult relationships via the choices we make. And in the third series, I will provide you with a few tools that my clients found useful. After this, and in the fourth series, I will explain the importance of all of this knowledge when it comes to our business or career choices and so on. You will therefore have many videos to help you and many videos to watch. But not all the videos will resonate immediately, if at all. But keep on watching, as I'm sure many will, or they'll provide you with insights that maybe you've never thought of. So please subscribe or follow me if you wish to learn more, or indeed if you wish to participate in these weekly therapy videos. See you soon. Bye.